Phyllis Reynolds Naylor was born on January 4, 1933 in Anderson, Indiana to Eugene Reynolds and Laura Reynolds in a small house that was built by her father and grandfather. She was born during the Great Depression and times were tough. The family did not have many books to read, but they did have a couple of books, such as 2 volumes of the Grimm's Fairy Tales, missionary stories for little folks, a set of Sherlock Holmes detective stories, the complete works of Mark Twain, and the stories of her mother that made up of a cat named Fluffy, and the characters of Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer that her father would imitate. It was when she entered 4th grade that she began to write books of her own. Because it was during the Great Depression, paper was like gold. There was not enough for her to write, so she would have to look in the trash can for paper to write her stories. Upon entering the 7th grade, the family moved to Joliet, Illinois, and Naylor entered Washington Junior High and then into Joliet Township High School, in which Reynolds' first published story was at age 16. A Sunday school teacher remembered Reynolds from school and encouraged her to write a story for a children's church paperback, and the title was Mike's Hero. This was Reynolds' first and only sports story, in which she received $4.67 for it. After graduating from high school, she went to Joliet Junior College and in training for elementary teaching, where she graduated in 1953. At age 18, she met a man 8 years her senior from her hometown and got married and moved to Chicago with her husband. While studying to be a clinical psychologist, she would write stories and sell them to help pay for her tuition. At age 23, her husband began to show signs of mental problems. Because she was the sole breadwinner of the family, she would write and sell her stories to help support her and her husband. When it became clear that her husband's paranoid schizophrenia was incurable, she put him in a mental hospital in Maryland. When her divorce was final, she went back to school with intention to become a clinical psychologist, and she also wrote a book called Crazy Love, an autobiographical account of marriage and madness, where she talks about her experience of her ex-husband's mental problems. 4 years later, at age 27, she made a tough decision and got married to Dr. Rex Naylor, a speech pathologist. In 1963, she received her bachelor's degree in psychology from the American University in Washington, D.C. After receiving her degree, she knew she wanted to be a writer and threw away her plans of graduate school and became a full-time writer. What triggered Naylor to become an author was the works of Mark Twain. She remembered when she was young that her father read Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer to her and her brother and sister. Many of her stories that she has written are from when she was young, and she also includes characters that have some personalities of her family, and she always includes herself in some way in each character. Naylor has written over 140 books for adults and as well for children. She has the ability to write just about anything that comes to her mind, such as Death and String of Chances, Mental Illness and The Keeper, Right-Wing Militia Movements, and The Walker. Her first book was Galloping Goat and Other Stories in 1965, in which it contains 9 short stories of children in faraway and strange countries. In each story, the characters become a bit wiser because of what happens to them, and so does the reader. Her first novel for children was What the Gulls Were Singing in 1967. This book is about a young girl who spends her summer vacation with 2 of her brothers running the family's boarding house. She learns about love and family relationships. Naylor also has written book series such as The Life and Adventures of a Young Girl Named Alice McKinley. The Alice series was made into a movie called Alice Upside Down. In this movie, Alice faces new challenges at her new school in town. Alice wants to try out for a play at school and wants to get her father and Mrs. Cole together, who will be directing the play, so she can get a lead role. The boy-girl battle series are about the 4 Hat brothers and the 3 Malloy's sisters. The boys start doing pranks on the girls, and when this happens, war starts among them. Her work has won numerous awards, such as Edgar Allan Poe for Night Cry in 1985. This award is awarded by the Mystery Writers of America for distinguished work and mystery. She also won the Golden Kite Award for nonfiction for the book How I Came to Be a Writer. This is the only award presented to children's book authors and artists by their peers. This book is a biography with writing instructions and a writer's personal story. And among the other awards, the most prestigious award she has won would be the Newbery Medal for Shiloh in 1992. Not only did this book win the Newbery Award, it was also awarded the Dorothy Canfield Fisher Children's Book. This book was written in the first-person point of view. Marty Preston, who reveals his thoughts and feelings for an abused beagle that follows him home. Marty must return Shiloh, the name Marty picked out for the dog, to his abuser, Judd Travers, who lives out in the woods. Marty does not like the idea of returning Shiloh, but a few days later he finds Shiloh again, and this time he does not return him to his owner. Marty builds Shiloh a pen in the woods and keeps it a secret until one day another dog attacks him during the night. Now everybody knows his secret. He must talk to Judd, and on his way to speak to Judd, Marty catches Judd shooting a deer out of season and makes a deal with him. Marty will work for him 20 hours for $2 an hour to pay for Shiloh. This book was inspired by Clover, a dog in West Virginia that was taken in by her friends. Naylor has also wrote Shiloh Season and Saving Shiloh. These books were also made into movies. Shiloh in 1997, followed by 2 sequels, Shiloh 2 in 1999 and Saving Shiloh in 2006. Phyllis Reynolds Naylor states that each book she has written is from something that she has lived or experienced in her life. She currently lives with her husband Rex in Maryland, and they have 2 grown boys, Jeff and Michael.